Now make some noise for your amazing host.
What is up, Sandals Church kids?
Well, there's some air ducts, a skylight, lots of dust, some pink insulation stuff, and I think that's all I see.
Joel, what are you doing?
You said what's up?
Clever, Joel. Love it. Guys, my name is Will, and this is my friend Joel. Welcome back to Bookmarked.
Today, we are going to have a lot of fun and dive into week 2 of our series.
Here is our story for today called Joshua and the Mysterious Mega March Around the Jam-Packed Jumbo City of Jericho.
That was a jam-packed jumbo title. But let's take a sneak peek at what's headed our way.
Coming up.
We're gonna see how we can obey God by watering the world's tiniest tree trunks.
Find out how on Bookmarked.
Will, if you wrote a book, what would it be about?
If I wrote a book, I would write a book about my very epic basketball journey.
Is it a long journey or a short journey?
It's a pretty short journey, Joel.
So like 1-page journey?
I think so.
All right, well, you have it there, Sandals Church kids. The longest journey ever written in 1 page. It's now time to watch the most epic, fun video ever.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Sandals Church Kids. We are so glad to be hanging out with you right now. I'm Mr. Coyote with
Mrs. Coyote.
and we have a lot of fun in store today. We're gonna move on to a game with Mrs. Coyote, and you guys can participate too. This game is called 2 Words. Now how that works is there is a list for Mrs. Coyote and I, and we're gonna try to get the other person to answer the question, but we can only give them 2 words to answer it. Here is our list that you guys can see, but she cannot see. I'm going to give you the 2 words.
Okay.
And I have 60 seconds. And go. Mouth makeup.
Lipstick.
Orchid cooking.
Flower,
You got it, flower.
Okay, okay.
Cow skin.
cow skin, leather.
Correct. Beach sandal.
Beach sandal, flip flop.
Yes. Tiny clue.
Hint.
Yes, I was like, surgery game.
Operation.
Correct. Check hotel.
Check hotel. Check hotel. Money.
Pass.
Bank, pass.
Ground bird.
Ground bird. Turkey
bird.
meat.
Ground bird.
Turkey meat.
Pass. Dangerously cheesy.
Cheetos.
Yes, correct. Oh yeah.
Kool-Aid.
The chopper. That's time.
What's ground bird?
Ostrich.
Ostrich.
Ground bird. It couldn't fly.
I just thought of ground beef or the ground meat.
That was pretty good. I think that I got through most of them. 60 seconds. Okay. That is harder than it looks
Oh my
when you're
goodness.
thinking
That's funny.
you have 2 words. Okay. My senses are tingling, so I am
Okay.
going to. We're gonna nail this. And
Okay.
all right, here we go.
You ready for your
60
list?
seconds.
Okay, you're starting
In
it?
3, 2, 2 words. 1, go.
Up.
Down.
Good. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Elsa sings.
Frozen. Let it go.
Yes. Let it go. Plane jumping.
Trampoline. Skydiving.
Yes. Skydiving. Okay. Hero team.
Marvel. DC. Avengers.
Yes. Avengers. Okay. Okay. Blank cream.
Whipped cream. Sour cream.
Sour cream. Yes. Okay. Cow droppings.
Manure.
Yes.
17 seconds. Keep going.
Okay. Money holder.
Wallet.
Okay. Good. Sew blanket.
Quilt.
Yes.
8 seconds.
Shaking scared.
Nervous.
Okay. Obstacle jump.
Hurdle.
Yes.
That's time.
Good job.
That was crazy.
That's stressful.
Yeah. Thank you guys so much for playing 2 Words game. Feel free to make your list at home. It's pretty simple. Choose some simple words to start with and see how detailed you can get.
And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.
Fa la 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 la, fa la 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 la.
Well, what are you doing?
Joel, I'm practicing for Sandals Church worship.
Well, speaking of worship, it is time to worship, guys. So get up, stand up on those feet, and let's sing together.
Oh, yeah. The Lord is a God who shows mercy and is kind. The Lord doesn't become angry quickly. The Lord shows great love and faithfulness. The Lord doesn't become angry quickly. He's so good. God is so, so good to me. Whatever may come, whatever may pass, He's good. He's so, so good to me. He's so good, 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 good. The Lord is a God who shows mercy and is kind. The Lord doesn't become angry quickly. The Lord shows great love and faithfulness. The Lord doesn't become angry quickly. He's so good. God is so, so good to me. Whatever may come, whatever may pass, He's good. He's so, so good to me. He's so good, 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 good. He's so good, 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 good. He's so good. God is so, so good to me. Whatever may come, whatever may pass, He's good. He's so, so good to me. He's so good. God is so, so good to me. Whatever may come, whatever may pass, He's good. He's so, so good to me. He's so good, 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 good. He's so good, 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 so good. So good. Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and favor with God and with man. Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and favor with God and with man.
Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and favor with God and with man.
Whoa.
Jesus grew in wisdom. That means he's a scholar.
Jesus grew in stature, that means He got taller.
Jesus grew in favor with God and with man.
Jesus is the greatest. I wanna be like Him. Wanna be like Him. Wanna be like Him.
I want
be like Him. Wanna be like
Him.
Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and favor with God and with man.
Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and favor with God and with man.
Jesus grew in wisdom and stature and favor with
in wisdom. That means he's a scholar.
Jesus grew in stature, that means he got taller.
Jesus grew in favor with God and with man.
Jesus is the greatest, I wanna be like him. Wanna be like him. Wanna be like him. Wanna be like him. Wanna be like him.
I wanna hug my mama extra tight. I wanna read my Bible every night. I wanna put loose trash in the garbage bin. But most importantly, I wanna be like him. I wanna help someone realize their full potential. Wanna comb my hair and brush my dentals. Wanna help my best friend learn to swim. But most importantly, I wanna be like him. I wanna spend more time with my family. I wanna find another good book to read. I wanna have more workouts at the gym. But most importantly, I wanna be like him. I wanna eat my veggies and learn kung fu. Wanna be nice to the animals at the zoo. Wanna memorize Luke 2:52, but most importantly, I wanna be like you.
Wanna be like you. Wanna be like you. Wanna be like you. Wanna be like you. Wanna be like you. Wanna be like you. Wanna be like you. I want to be like you.
Okay, everyone, the part we have all been waiting for has arrived. Our Bible story.
Today, we're talking about Joshua and the mysterious mega march around the jam-packed jumbo city of Jericho from our story in Joshua chapter 6, verses 1 to 20.
Welcome to our series called Bookmark, where we're checking out some of the chapters in the Bible about a bunch of real everyday people who did real everyday things and had real everyday lives that God marked for his real but not so everyday plan.
We'll see that when you become a follower of God, he bookmarks you to be part of his grand story about how he loves and saves the world.
Whether we realize it or not, God uses each one of us in his story.
This week, we'll see how God works through our obedience, and that means we can obey God. So let's turn to the page in 3, 2,
Uno!
Imagine with me for just a second that you and your sibling or your best friend open your front door one day to find 100 boxes full of marshmallows that were accidentally delivered to your house instead of the S'mores headquarters. So you called S'mores HQ and they told you, keep the mallows. Well, no argument there. So you and your friend or your brother and your sister, you decided to build a giant marshmallow tower. You built a strong, wide base, and you had gotten the top of the tower almost all the way to the ceiling by standing on top of your bed. That's when your dad comes in, and he asks you to clean up and take the tower down. But instead of taking it apart, mallow by mallow with your hands, he asks you to do something really crazy. He said, in order to take down this tower, you have to screech like a pterodactyl, beat your chest like a gorilla, and yell, "Marshmallows be gone!" Okay, that sounds weird and crazy, and you would probably think, what is happening? What did my dad just ask me to do? Believe it or not, did you know that something similar to this happened in the Bible to Joshua and the Israelites? Let's check it out.
So last week, we left off in our story with Joshua and the Israelites miraculously crossing safely through the Jordan River on dry ground and into the land promised to them by God. Let's pick back up with Joshua. Chapter 6, March Madness. Joshua blinked into the darkness of his tent. He was lying on his back thinking about the strange messenger that God had sent, telling him the next part of God's plan for Israel. The messenger was a man with a huge sword. Whoa. The commander of God's army, who had given Joshua specific instructions about defeating the city of Jericho. Marching 7 times? Hold on a second, I'm getting ahead of myself. Joshua knew he could trust God, but the instructions seemed absolutely crazy. When he told the Israelite leaders what the messenger had said, they looked at him like he had grown a second head. The plan didn't make any sense. Joshua furrowed his brow and restlessly drifted off to sleep. Chapter 7, Hello, Jericho. The next morning, the Israelites gathered near Jericho's walls. They looked up at the massive city. Jericho had walls that were taller than anything they had ever seen. The gray stones were so big, they looked like they had been stacked by giants. And of course, the people of Jericho had blocked every entrance, making the city impossible to get into. But the Israelites lined up as God had told them. The soldiers in front, the priests with the trumpets, then the Ark of the Covenant representing God's presence, and finally the rest of the army at the back. The Israelites started their march around the city. Thump, 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 thump. They walked in unison to a heart-like beat. The priests blew their trumpets, but the rest of the Israelites fell into an uncomfortable silence. Joshua had told them not to give their usual war cry, but to walk quietly around the city. When they got back to the point they started, Joshua told everyone to stop and go home for the night. What was that all about? As Joshua ate dinner, slowly chewing over every piece, he couldn't help but think about how hard it was to obey God sometimes, where it seemed like nothing good was coming from it. Okay, so over the next 5 days, the Israelites, they got up and they did the same thing over and over again. They marched once around Jericho and then they went back to camp. So we're actually gonna skip ahead and we're gonna get to where the real action happens on day 7. Chapter 11, the walls that fell for it. On the 7th day, the Israelites woke up tired of marching around the city. Was God really going to come through for them and give them the city of Jericho? Joshua was secretly considering the same thing. But today's march was different. The Israelites marched not once, not twice, but 7 times around the city of Jericho. At the end of the 7th march, Joshua knew this was it. He gave the signal and yelled as loud as he could. "Now shout, God has given you this city." Every Israelite shouted at the top of their lungs. The shouts rumbled across the ground and shook the walls of Jericho violently. With a thunderous boom, the walls collapsed and the army rushed into the city to capture it. Joshua stared with a mix of disbelief and relief. God had done it. Jericho was theirs.
Can you imagine watching that happen right in front of you? Man, what if Joshua and the Israelites hadn't listened to God's instructions? They would have never, ever seen the miracle or understood how powerful God was for themselves. But because they trusted and obeyed Him, God worked through them. And that's why obeying God or doing what He asks us to do, even if it seems crazy, it is so important. God has great plans for each and every one of us, you and me. But here's the deal, if we don't follow His plans, we are missing out on the amazing things that He has in store for us. So let's take a look at our one thing for today. The one thing to remember is that God works through my obedience.
Being obedient to God kind of reminds me of these toothpicks. Today, I'm gonna show Ethan here and you guys how to make something awesome out of these toothpicks. So Ethan, we are gonna start by breaking 5 of these toothpicks in half. All right, do we have our 5 toothpicks broken in half?
We sure do.
So now we are gonna place our 5 toothpicks broken side in on this plate right here. Beautiful. Now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take these beautiful straws in front of us and we are going to take some water with the straw out of the cup. And we just put our first drop in.
And here comes the second. I'm kind of curious to see how this turns out, Joel. So what is this supposed to be?
Do you not see our toothpicks moving right now?
Oh my, it's turning into a star.
It is a star.
Oh, that's crazy.
And Ethan, that is how we make something awesome out of toothpicks. When I asked you to break those toothpicks, it seemed kind of weird, right?
Totally, and it reminds me of our story this week. God asked Joshua and the Israelites to do something pretty weird. They marched around quietly the entire city of Jericho for 7 days, but then God did something completely amazing.
Right? He used the Israelites' obedience or willingness to follow him to do a miracle. He brought the walls of Jericho down. Sometimes in our lives, obeying God's rules can seem kind of weird, just like pouring water on broken toothpicks.
We may not understand all of them. In fact, it might even be easier to do it our own way and ignore what God says.
But if we do that, then we might miss out on the amazing things God has for us. And that's why our action step for today is, we can obey God.
Hey guys, I'm Pastor Moy from Sandals Church, Anaheim, and I want to tell you about a time that I obeyed God. You see, I love hats. I like to wear them like this. I like to turn them around. If there's a hat, I will try it on because, yep, I love hats. And a couple years ago, there was this special hat that I had, and it was almost kind of like a cowboy hat, but it was like a summer hat. And so I was wearing this hat on this day, and I go to pick up my son from school. We come to a stoplight, and I happened just to make eye contact with someone out in the street. It was like a homeless man at the stoplight, and he begins to smile and say something. And so I roll down my window, and he comes up and he says, "Hey, young man, that's a great hat." And I just kind of smiled and thought, okay, cool, everybody loves my hat, this is great. Finally made it about 2 blocks before I had this feeling that I needed to give the man on the street my hat. And so we stop at the same stoplight, and he looks at me with a big, huge smile on his face. You see, his skin had been under the sun all day long, and he's sunburnt almost to the point where like third degree burn, and you could tell that he needed that hat more than I did, but it was my favorite hat. And so I end up giving it to him, and we end up driving home, and this is probably one of the coolest moments as a father. My son Moses turns to me and he looks at me and he says, "Dad, I'm pretty impressed with you. I'm proud of you that you were able to give away your favorite hat, and that you're teaching me how to be a kind human." It was so much better to obey God, to take a step forward and to know that it was something that I wanted, but that in the moment God was calling me to give it up. So just like I obeyed God and I gave my hat to someone that was in need, you guys can obey God too.
All right, guys, our memory verse for this series comes from Joshua chapter 3, verse 5, and it says, "Make yourselves holy for the Lord. Tomorrow the Lord will do amazing things among you."
We saw it in our story how God did amazing things by working through Joshua and the Israelites and collapsing the walls of Jericho so the Israelites could have the city.
We saw in our story how Joshua was obedient even when it was difficult, and how God honored his obedience.
That's why the one thing to remember is that God works through my obedience.
Our action step for this week is we can obey God.
Now we are nearing the end of our adventure today, but real quick, let's jump into one more song of worship together.
Bible's more than just a book. It's the word of God, here before anything else. alive and powerful. Oh, it's alive and powerful. It's alive and powerful. It's alive and powerful.
Thanks so much for hanging out with us today, you guys.
And one of the ways that you can live out the vision of being real is by doing the Now What found in your Get Real guide.
Later today or this week, pick one thing that you have a hard time obeying God about.
Maybe it's listening to your parents, controlling your anger, or telling the truth.
Think about why you have a hard time obeying God and ask Him to change your heart so you want to obey Him.
Then practice doing that hard thing.
One last thing before you go, you can download your Get Real guide from the button below this video, so you can always go back and reread today's story.
And check out Sandals Church Kids online at youtube.com/SandalsKids for bonus content and more fun.
See you guys next week.